reprodolls.com. If this is your first time on my channel or Facebook page, whichever you're seeing this on, make sure to hit like so you can see more of our content as I get it uploaded, and hopefully get some requests for new videos, photos, anything anybody wants to see about the doll making process and or the history of antique dolls. Anything, let me know, and let's get on with the show. So today we're going to be talking about the wet cleaning of soft fire greenware. Now, when you're making a porcelain piece, whether it's a porcelain dish, porcelain doll, porcelain teddy bear, whatever you're making in porcelain, is you pour it, do a little pre-cleaning, and depending on the artisan will depend on how much pre-cleaning. I don't do a lot, but I do more in my my wet cleaning stage than some other artisans do. But the pieces I have here today have already been fired to cone 018, and then we're going to do the wet cleaning, and then after that I'm going to get them in the kiln and do the final porcelain firing. So this is right now the wet cleaning stage, is where you're going to get all your seam lines out. If you need to sand out some rough spots, get your edges sanded down. This is where you're going to do that. So I've pulled everything out of my kiln. I've got China head dolls. The heads, I've got a little miniature one here, my little 5-inch Ella. I've got some arms and legs for China head dolls, and then I've also got a little googly boy. Now, we won't be cleaning any of these pieces because in order to do this process, you have to soak your pieces for about 5 to 10 minutes before you can start the cleaning. And this allows the water to kind of permeate the piece a little bit and basically make it so this is a dust-free process. In the early days of doll making, it was all dry cleaning, which, as you can imagine, is going to create a lot of health problems. So I want to say about 10 years ago, they started the Doll Artisans Guild, which I'm a member of, and a certified porcelain artist through. They came up with a method that, it might have been a little earlier, but I'm not quite sure on the dates. Don't quote me on the date, but this protects the health of the doll maker, which I appreciate. I've done projects of different mediums that have gotten into my lungs, and it was not a fun process. So this, in addition to just being a healthier process, healthier way to do this, I think it actually works better and it's less work. It's a little bit more prep because you do have to soak your pieces, and like this head, this Highland Mary head, she's gonna be about 22 inches. She's big. You have to soak each side before you can start work on it. So my water level right now, I'm gonna have to go and put more before I do her head, and even my Lydia head is still, it still might need a bit more water. But water is cheap enough, it's easier, you know, it's fine. So tools that you will need for wet firing: you will need soft fire greenware, obviously, or else you can't do this process. Tubs, which you can kind of see here. I've got, they're like dishwashing tubs, but I have plastic shoe boxes without lids. I mean, I've seen everybody use anything. I have a lot of these white tubs because I use them for transporting pieces in and out of the kiln, but I use them for that. I use them for wet cleaning, all that. I mean, I didn't used to actually have a studio, and my kiln was on the other side of the building, so that I needed a transportation way. But now they're pretty much just used for wet cleaning. Other tools you will need is a comfy scrubber. I always forget the name of these things. One side's just rubber. And this is kind of I'm not even sure what you want to call it, but it's called Comfy Scrubber. It's basically, it helps sand the pieces, but you could soak this, you can get it wet. The other thing, which unfortunately I don't think they sell anymore, they sell the Comfy Scrubbers. I have a ton of those. I'm not a huge fan of those, but some people love them. I love the pink scrubbers. They come in sheets, and then I normally cut them into squares, or I have little pieces. You can kind of see the size. So that basically I can get in and around edges, underneath hair. If, like for this girl, there's a couple spots where you would need to get right there. You're going to want to use this. You can get those wet. I have a ton of them. I've been finding them on doll making group sites. I scoop up as many as I can because, like I said, they're not sold anymore. I wish they would, but unfortunately doll making is not as lucrative as it used to be. The supplies and, they discontinued a lot of products. So since one of the pieces we're going to do is an arm like this for the googly boy, I'm going to kind of show you how to clean out these holes, which you can use the same method for China head dolls in the sew holes there. So one of the methods, there's two methods to do this. There's one where it's a cone type cleaner. There's one that's like an abrasive, similar to, if you know what an eye beveler is. I don't own one of those. I own 4 or 5 of these. They're fairly cheap in ceramic supply places. And the other thing, I actually prefer using this for my holes on pieces, but it's a scalpel. It's very sharp, believe me. I've cut myself on them. $2. Doll Artisans Guild sells them. Every time I order a new scalpel because they get lost, they break. You loan it. If you go to workshops, you might loan it to somebody. They may not give it back. I always have a ton of those in the workshops. Old towels is my next thing on my list. I recycle towels from my bathroom. I cut them down to the sizes I need. I go through so many towels in the doll making process. I love, lint free. The more washed, the better, because they're going to be lint free. So that's it for tools. You can do this, and it doesn't really matter where you do this. You can do this in your kitchen. I have a studio. You can do it on your back porch. Anywhere you're comfortable that you have space. So you don't need a studio like I do. Believe me, I didn't have a studio for the longest time, but just make sure I like to have everything set up before I start. So now I have everything set up in anticipation of everybody coming over to see me wet clean. So I've already had some pieces soaking. You see here, got a couple pieces soaking. They've been soaking for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's recommended about 5 to 10 minutes, but 15 minutes is not going to harm it. So I'm going to angle my camera down so you can actually see what I'm doing with my hands. Let's get cleaning. Thing we're going to do is I always clean my seam lines. So like I said, my favorite is the pink scrubbies. I always like to get it wet. Take your piece. You're going to see here there's going to be seam lines. We're going to have to clean up around the fingers and clean up this edge because it's very sharp. And once that turns to porcelain, in the final firing stage, it will cut you. It will become sharp enough to cut you. So I'm just going to be very gentle. I don't recommend doing this while you are aggravated, your brain is on another planet, upset. I have broken many pieces this way, but just going to give it a nice scrub, and every now and then just dip it in the water so you can take away that excess that's being contained in the water so the dust is not coming up. This is why it's being called the wet cleaning process. So I got one of my seams down. There's found a little imperfection. We're just gonna sand that down, because anything that's not brought out, cleaned up in this stage will become permanent. You will definitely want to watch out when you're doing like a doll head. Sorry, we're all making dolls here, but when you're cleaning up a doll head, the cheeks, because when you put the blush on the cheeks, it will show. Ask me how I know. I've done it numerous times. So another thing with these hands and arms for like China head dolls, you have the groove for the arm and the string to hang on to. You're gonna need to just clean it up a bit. I've cleaned this one up so it's nice and smooth. You just don't want to lose that groove. Sometimes I like to deepen my groove because some of my molds don't have a deep enough groove for the armhole, like the arm, I don't know if there's an official name for it, but the string that goes through the casing on the arm. So I like to do that. Now around the fingers is when I'm going to pull like this guy, this little one, and you're just going to get in. Around fingers, you have to be more delicate than when you are working around the other parts, because they will snap. I've had that happen many, many times. And that's frustrating because at this point they can't be reattached. To my knowledge, they can't be reattached. Maybe somebody, out there knows of a way. If you do, please tell me. I would love to know. Because nobody's perfect, and like I said, you definitely want to use all that hard work that you put in with the molding. And I know some of my molds are a pain in my behind to unmold. And so I'm very careful. This Lydia head, this one girl with ringlets, she can take up to an hour to get out of her mold on a warm day, on a nice, perfectly temperatured warm day. So, and I've broken her different molds of her before in the cleaning process. So definitely, be careful. Like I said, I like to have music on when I'm working with my dolls, but in cleaning, I normally don't, because whatever music is on, I don't want to dance a club song or something that's going to make me feel anger or get my mind in an aggravated state. So basically, you're just going to go, I don't know if you can see that, but you're just going to go in between the fingers and then the other way, just to smooth it out. And you're going to do that all along across the fingers, and they will turn out beautiful if you just take a few extra minutes. Now this guy is our foot, China head foot. So, we're going to go and we're going to do in the groove for that string on the legs. Whether you're attaching these to a leather body, a cloth body, I still recommend doing this, just in case. It's better safe than sorry. Some of these molds, I'll show you. This you can see, this mold is an awful mold. But this, I have to shave down so much in the pre-cleaning process. And you can see how much. So that's going to take a little extra work. But just, like I said, be gentle, take your time, and it will look nice. And then, so that one is pretty much the same as the arm. You just don't need to go on and, you don't need to go around the toes. But I normally do use my smaller piece for the toes. So this guy, normally with these, you'll have a weird edge. So you're going to have to go and clean that up, which that'll take a little bit longer. But this one is the one I wanted to demonstrate the two methods to clean the holes out. So there's two different ones. We're going to start with you always start with a small one, and you're just going to roll it between your fingers. Now I poured these arms a little heavy. because I did not realize what the mold was doing when it was doing. So next time I need to thin my slip out before I do that. But you see now I can put it all the way through. You don't want to go up too, you don't want to make the holes too big, because when you go to string this guy together, he'll be a little loose. So you're just cleaning it up, because again, you don't want sharp edges. Now the other way, this is how you'd clean, you'd bevel, you would, I normally do it, but you would just go in, fingers gently and slowly. Either way, I've recently fallen in love with this way because for me, it's a bit more foolproof. I have been known to break sew holes, armholes with my scalpel. So basically, once you're done cleaning all your pieces, everything is nice and clean to what you think it's going to be good. You're going to lay it out on your towel, let it dry completely, and then go over it with bare hands again and just look at it, feel it. Do you still feel seam lines? So I normally keep everything set up until I do a final walkthrough to make sure everything is good to go. I mean, that's it. It's time consuming, but it's simple. Wet cleaning, it's very therapeutic for me. But until next time, I will continue finishing. I got a big pile to wet clean here, and I hope this video helped you out. Thank you, and you have a great rest of your weekend.